Welcome to the Fixtures podcast. We're back and no longer ill. So we apologize for missing last week's episode. We were both sick and we couldn't do an episode because you didn't want to hear that. Trust me. So we are back now and we are going to touch on this week's fixtures and maybe we'll dip back and go into last week's as well. So, I'm joined today only by Nicky Erdman.
Hi.
So, small panel today, and so here we go. Let's kick things off at the top. Sheffield United 0, Liverpool 1.
I think Sheffield put up a good fight here. 1-0 versus probably the top team in the league right now. I think that's pretty good. I know they also had some chances in the game. And so I think they did pretty well for playing the best side in the league for being a newly promoted side.
Yeah, and Liverpool looking a little weak on the attack, but ultimately coming through with, of course, that the goalkeeper slip up by Henderson in goal for Sheffield United. And, was it luck? Was it skill? Debatable.
I don't know.
A little bit of both.
Honestly, based on how Liverpool played, I think they honestly should have lost that game.
Well, they didn't, and they remain top of the table by a fair margin at this point. So, Liverpool. But, this result, I think, was a little expected, maybe not in that fashion. Obviously, afterwards, Klopp's saying that he'd rather take 8 1-0 wins versus 1 8-0 win. And that's what's going to earn you points is these 1-0 wins when it looks like you're going to get a draw. So this is what I think they need to do consistently and what every other team so far in the Premier League has failed to do, which is hang on to, and win these games that when they're maybe not at their best form. Okay, moving on. We have Crystal Palace 2, Norwich City 0.
Is the Pookie party over? I think that's the real question because, he scores versus bigger sides, but he can't pick up a goal versus Crystal Palace.
And obviously not scoring last week either.
Yeah, versus Burnley. That's 2 weeks in a row playing against...
His last goal being versus City 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but that's 2 weeks against small opposition that he's not scoring against. He was used to playing against teams of that caliber last season. So, I don't really know what's happening.
This is back-to-back away losses for Norwich now, which not looking really that good for them, losing to Burnley last week and, of course, losing to Crystal Palace this week. Crystal Palace is definitely good opposition. They're not going to let you, they're not going to let you walk all over them. And obviously the first goal coming from a penalty. And, I don't know. If there are 2 away wins, so I wouldn't read too much or 2 away losses, so I wouldn't read too much into it. I think they'll be just fine. But we'll see what happens with Norwich. Hopefully they can bounce back. All right, moving right along. We have Aston Villa 2, Burnley 2.
I think it was a good fight from both teams. They both wanted to win the game very badly, and I think that showed in how both teams were playing. Neither of them really gave up at any point in the game.
I feel like Aston Villa just can't win a game. They are really just, I feel like so many times they've looked the better team and then somehow came out.
Well, I think what happens
with a draw or a loss.
What I think what happens is they're ahead by 1 goal only, and then they get scored on and their defense freaks out, and then their defense kind of crumbles right in front of them, and they can't hold off the opposition for the rest of the game. Because both goals for Burnley were scored after 60 minutes.
Yeah, and the Chris Wood goal was a very good goal. If you haven't seen it, definitely recommend checking that one out. But this puts Aston Villa in the relegation zone with 5 points, tied with Newcastle, and only one win so far this season. So troubling for Aston Villa. I think they're having some growing pains adjusting to the Premier League. Norwich actually is sitting just right above them with 6 points. So I think both those teams are potentially in trouble if they don't start putting up a fight. And weirdly enough, Sheffield United is in 12th with 8 points so far. 2 wins, 2 draws. That's a pretty good record for them so far. That's actually pretty impressive considering they were the side that I would slot to go down the most, I think. But it's still pretty early on. So we'll see what happens there. But moving right along, Bournemouth 2, West Ham 2.
I can honestly say the same thing I said about last game and this game. It was a very close game. It was both teams wanted to take home the win, and they both played very well.
Yeah, and I think Josh King had a really, really good game this time. But Yarmolenko has been playing very well for West Ham at the moment.
He's finally getting that form, because I remember when he came there, everyone was very excited, and he didn't play that well. But now he's starting to play. I think he's starting to fit in a little bit better.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think Bournemouth should have done better here, though. The goals, I think they should have done. They should have just done better. The defense was not.
I
great.
think West Ham has a pretty strong attack. So
They do, for sure.
I agree that Bournemouth probably should have done better, but I mean, I was not really expecting them to win this game or really draw it, to be honest. I was expecting them to lose versus West Ham.
Yeah. I don't think so. I think Bournemouth is good enough to beat them. They beat Southampton 3-1 last week, obviously, but Southampton is much weaker opposition. So yeah, I don't know. I think this is a fair result, but I think Bournemouth needed to have the extra edge, and they just didn't. All right, moving right along. Wolves gets a win. Wolves 2, Watford 0. Watford continues to be in complete free fall at the moment.
The only reason they won a game was because it was versus Watford.
You think?
I 100% think that, because I think a team full of grandmas could beat Watford right now.
Yeah, Watford is doing just terrible. What happened to this side?
I think the manager was part of the problem, but I think firing him instead of fixing the problem made it worse.
I mean, how would you fix the problem at this point? Because now we're mid-season, you have no transfer window, nothing really of note. That you can bring in new players.
Honestly,
so you got to work with what you have.
Honestly, I think you just need to pray and some luck at this point. I mean, they've lost so many games. They're playing so poorly. I mean, they really need a miracle at this point, to be honest, to not finish in the bottom 3 and not get relegated.
So you think they will get relegated?
I 100% think they will get relegated. And it's sad to see them go, because I quite like Watford, and I think they could have stuck around. I think they just had some bad management in there, and I think they kind of just rotted from the core, and it's now spreading to the rest of the team, and I think they will go down this year.
So what about Wolves? Is this maybe a turn of the tide for Wolves? Do you think they're gonna bounce, win a couple on the bounce here? Or
I think this was a fluke. This was 100% a fluke.
Next week.
This was 100% a fluke because none of their attackers scored.
Well, they're gonna get smashed next week anyway.
Yeah, it's City. But
I mean, they play Besiktas tomorrow on Thursday.
Yeah, but none of their attackers scored. It was just Doherty that scored.
It was a good assist from Jimenez.
Yeah, but I mean, their attackers not finishing is still concerning, and their attackers not being able to score is still very concerning because, I mean,
Yes.
they're not finishing in the final third with their attackers.
Especially when you have such good attackers. to
Exactly.
not
Like they
be
have
finishing.
so much depth in the attack, and they have such quality up there, but they're just not. I don't know what's happening to them, to be honest.
Do you think they'll be able to turn it around?
I hope so. I think they
Or
will
do
be.
you think Nuno goes?
I think Nuno stays. I don't see Nuno going, to be honest. But I think what's going to happen is with this win, they're going to be a little more inspired. So they're going to try to put up more of a fight, which I think will help them. But I still think that they're not going to play that well until they get out of the Europa League.
So you could make the argument that they're really focusing on the Europa League, but obviously they lost to Braga in the Europa League on the 19th.
Yeah.
So, and only beating Reading on penalties in the League Cup. So they're really not doing well in any competition at the moment, which is definitely concerning. So we'll see what comes of that. I think they need to pick a competition and focus on it. Either do well in Europe and do enough to keep yourself alive in the Premier League, or do well in the Premier League and, maybe not focus on Europe as much. But I think they're stretched so thin at the moment, and their attackers just aren't scoring, and there's a lot of weight on their shoulders, and I think they're
feeling the
doing so good.
pressure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so moving on. Tottenham 2, Southampton 1.
Southampton should have won this game.
You think?
I think they looked like the much better side the whole game.
Their only goal was off of Lloris trying to do Cruyff turns.
Yeah, but I know. But I think overall, as a team performance, I think they played better.
All right, so let's back it up. So obviously, the Dombele had a great goal to put them ahead. Then Hugo Lloris making just why? What was he thinking? Why would he do that?
He was thinking it was Southampton.
And I mean, giving the ball away, Danny Ings scoring that goal, and then Harry Kane being the savior and scoring that winning goal there. Obviously, Serge Aurier also getting sent off. So
Honestly, I think if I was a Tottenham fan, I would be happy. I would be happy they got the win, but I would be disappointed in the overall performance of the team. I feel like they should have won by more, and it should have been more convincing, and there should have been less mistakes made. You shouldn't be getting a red card versus Southampton of all teams. See, that's not necessary. You don't need to get a red card versus Southampton.
yeah, but it's Serge Aurier.
Yeah, but it's dumb.
He gets so many cards.
Yeah.
He is he's just so rash with some of his challenges. It's something else. While we're on the subject of Tottenham, let's talk about what happened yesterday. Bayern Munich 7, Tottenham 2. So we're jumping to the Champions League real quick. We won't touch on it too much, but I think we'll talk about the Premier League teams and how they're doing in Europe. So this was a pretty shocking result. At Spurs Stadium, Bayern Munich completely obliterating them. What are your thoughts?
Yes. It was a good game for Bayern and for any fan of any other team in the Premier League, to be honest, because it was a great day to watch Tottenham fail. You love to see it, to be honest.
And obviously, Serge Gnabry just putting up 4 goals, having a fantastic game. Lewandowski having a fantastic game.
I think the funniest part about that game, though, is that Tottenham scored first. Because Tottenham scored, and I guarantee you every Tottenham fan was like, oh, yeah, we got this game. It's going to be easy. And then they let 7 goals pass.
Yeah. And while we're on the subject, let's jump to today's game of Liverpool 4, Red Bull Salzburg 3.
Liverpool should have lost that game.
Nah, but we didn't.
Yeah, but you should have.
But is this not why? But how many times have you said over the past year, Liverpool should have lost that game and they didn't?
Well, I mean,
Is that not
Here's
what
the thing.
makes them a
No matter how
world-class
many
side?
no matter how many times it happens where I'm saying they should have lost that game because they were playing they were the worst team playing out of those two. They were playing worse than Salzburg that whole game, I believe. And so you can keep winning those type of games just by a lucky goal or just getting lucky, honestly. But eventually, if you keep banking on that and keep trying to do that, it's not going to work, and you're going to slip up and you're going to lose.
Season and a half. It's worked so far.
It's bound to end
Champions
somehow.
of Europe, runner-up by 1 point last year, and
you see
Premier League winners this year.
Yeah, but did you see Virgil van Dijk get absolutely destroyed today?
Yeah, but
Not looking so good as last year, huh?
we also scored 4 goals. So.
Yeah, but also Virgil van Dijk got dribbled past and like destroyed.
All right. Well, moving along to Chelsea 2, Brighton 0.
It was a good game. I'll be honest. I'm glad to see Ross Barkley not being nowhere near the penalty spot when there's a penalty given. Or Tammy Abraham, to be honest. Both of them should be nowhere near the penalty spot ever from now on. It was nice to see Batshuayi come on as a sub, too. He looked very good when he came on.
And obviously the big talking point of the game, at least in my opinion, Callum Hudson-Odoi returns to action.
Yeah, and he played good. I mean, he was on the field for only like 10 minutes and he got an assist already. Before he got the assist. It was fantastic. I mean, I'm so glad to see him back. And because I think a lot of people, because right when Callum Hudson-Odoi got injured was right when people were getting at like peak hype about him, I feel like, you know?
Right.
Because it was right
when he was rumored to go to Bayern.
Yeah, he was right when he was rumored to go to Bayern. He was supposed to get this big money move. They were winning the Europa League. I mean, he was a bright young talent, and then he gets injured really bad, and I feel like everyone kind of forgot about him a little.
Especially with
Tammy Abraham and Mason Mount coming in, they're kind of overshadowing him a little bit. I feel like in the youth section of Chelsea. But
I think there's far more hype around Tammy Abraham right now.
Oh, yeah, 100% there's more hype around Tammy Abraham than Callum Hudson-Odoi. But now I think Callum Hudson-Odoi is going to show why he needs to be starting in this team.
Do you think he has trouble finding his way into this team?
I don't think so at all. Because based on the way Frank Lampard has been setting up games, I mean, I think Pedro is going to be the one taken out too.
So you're starting Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount, Tomori, and who am I missing? I thought there was
Callum
Hudson-Odoi. So 4 used prospects.
Yeah, I would start those 4, and then when Ruben Loftus-Cheek comes back, you put him in for Ross Barkley.
Interesting.
I mean, I just think, honestly, I think Pedro is a fantastic player. I think he's one of the best players on Chelsea. But he's getting old. And that's the problem. I think Pedro is a fantastic player. Every time he goes on the pitch, every time he gets the ball, he does something amazing with it. But him and Willian both do the same. And I think Willian just has the ability to score more goals now at this age because they're both getting pretty old. And so I think Pedro is going to be the one that gets taken out of those two because it's going to be one of the two.
And Callum Hudson-Odoi is naturally a right-sided winger, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Pedro is naturally a right-sided winger as well. And Willian's also naturally a right-sided winger.
Right. Yeah.
But actually, no, Callum Hudson-Odoi is a natural left winger.
Really?
Yeah. He's a natural left winger. And yeah, he's a natural left winger. And he can play basically left wing and cam. But I would take Pedro out and put Willian on the right. Personally.
All right. And let's talk about, real quick, Lille 1 and Chelsea 2.
Also, I just want to say real quick, the number 9 curse, I think, is broken now. Based on how...
Callum Hudson-Odoi is left winger, by the way.
I know. I think the number 9 curse is broken based on how many goals Tammy Abraham has now scored for us. He's our leading goal scorer for the whole season so far. And I could not be happier that Chelsea finally has a decent looking number 9. Because it's been so many times that we've just had a terrible number 9 that hasn't been able to finish. I mean, everyone's seen the Fernando Torres miss versus United. But I think it was great. I mean, it was Tammy Abraham's birthday today. He went on, he scored. It was overall, it was a really good game. Willian played his 300th game for the club, and he scored on it.
And 5 in the back?
It was 3-5 or 3-4-3
with wingbacks, though.
Yeah.
So essentially 5 in the back.
And it was nice to see Reece James starting, in my opinion. I really like seeing Reece James starting. I think he's a really promising kid. He got a little hot-tempered during the game, and he picked him up a yellow card, but I think that's just bound to happen. He's a physical type of player. He's a good player, though, and I'm glad to see him back in the side. And I hope he gets more chances this year.
All right, moving on. Everton 1, City 3.
I think at this point, Everton needs to go into crisis mode.
Do you think? I mean, really.
Look at their recent form.
Everton.
And look at where they are on the table right now.
All right. Their recent form has been
Horrendous.
3-1 against City, 2-0 against a loss 2-0 to Sheffield United. Oh my, a loss 3-1 to Bournemouth. A win against Wolves.
Which they barely got that win versus.
A win against Villa. And a win against Watford. They've had really friendly fixtures, though.
I know, and they have not been well. And look at where they are in the standings right now.
They are currently in 15th. Really?
Yeah. I would honestly put them in crisis mode. I think they're having the second worst season in the Premier League so far, next to Watford.
You think?
I 100% think that because Everton brought in all these big name players this year, and they said we're going to be fighting for the top.
Oh no, they lost to Villa. That was incorrect by me.
Even worse.
Their only win was against Watford.
Watford and Wolves.
And Wolves.
And they barely beat Wolves.
And they beat Wolves because Wolves had a red card.
Yeah, and it was a penalty. But I think this puts Everton in crisis mode because I remember at the beginning of this season, Everton was talking up about how they have all these new big transfers and how they're going to be fighting for top 10. And I can't even tell you what happened, to be honest. I mean, you have a world-class striker in Moise Kean, and you're not even.
I don't know if he's world-class. I think that's to be determined.
A player that has the potential to be a world-class striker, and you're starting Dominic Calvert-Lewin over him.
He hasn't shown it so far at Everton.
I don't think he's been given enough chances. He hasn't
taken the few chances even.
Yeah, but the only time he comes on is a sub in like the 75th minute, 80th minute.
Well, that's when you got to score.
Well, I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult to score. I mean, you get thrown on a field with 15 minutes left in the game, and you get the job to score. You might not even be able to touch the ball in that 15 minutes.
You're not wrong, especially against a team like City.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen. These things take time, but I think they need to be giving him more chances. They need to be giving him starts, to be honest, and they're not.
Well, Everton actually looked like they might draw this game until that free kick from Mahrez, putting it at a driven shot into the far post. And then followed up by Raheem Sterling bouncing it off the crossbar and into the goal. Thank goodness for goal line technology. And City ending up winning this one comfortably.
Yep.
And obviously last week, absolutely just brutalizing Watford 8-0. Was it a show of intent after the loss to Norwich? To come out and just batter Watford?
I think it was because I can just imagine Pep telling them that they need to go out there and show the lower teams that they're not one to be messed with, or the bigger teams that they're not one to be messed with. And so they did that by destroying Watford 8-0.
Yep. And, of course, this week in the Champions League, beating Dynamo Zagreb at home 2-0. Dinamo? Sorry. All right. Well, I think that wraps up City versus Everton. Everton, yeah, looking like they're in trouble. And moving on to the most exciting games of the week. Leicester City 5, Newcastle 0. Talking about crisis mode.
I would put Newcastle being the side having the third worst season this year.
I would say they're having a worse season than Everton, but maybe not. 'Cause
No.
I think they had low expectations going into the season.
Yeah, I don't think anyone expected. I think everyone put Newcastle bottom.
They might be almost doing better than I think they.
I think everyone expected Newcastle to be bottom at this time. No one expected Watford there, and honestly, I think they're doing a little better than I thought they were. But I mean, a 5-0 loss to Leicester, that's obviously not good. But I mean,
and there were some good goals, some very good goals in this.
I think Leicester is showing that they're a side to be reckoned with this year.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt.
And I think they can. I think they are capable of it. If they keep playing like this.
They're in third right now. They're above Arsenal, Chelsea, United, and Spurs at the moment with 14 points, 2 points off City, with the one loss, and that was to who was that to?
Menu.
Was it? Oh yeah, yep. United.
It was 1-0.
1-0 against United at Old Trafford.
It was a close game too.
So yeah, they're having a fantastic season.
Yeah, and I think that's in part to. I would say, I would directly link it to two things. I would link it to one, Brendan Rodgers, because I think Brendan Rodgers is a fantastic manager. And then the second thing,
he's also a snake. But
the second thing I would link it to directly is Yuri Tielemans.
Tielemans has been fantastic.
Yuri Tielemans has been I would say their best player this season. He has been going absolutely insane this season. He's so good. I can't even. I'm very glad they brought him in. I remember picking up Yuri Tielemans playing FIFA 15 when he still played for Anderlecht. I would buy him, and he was just amazing then, and he's still amazing.
So, meanwhile, on the Newcastle front, Isaac Hayden getting sent off for a very stupid challenge, and then trying to protest being sent off in quite a display. And I don't know, just looking at this Newcastle side, it's almost expected. I gotta say, I feel bad for Miguel Almiron.
He's such a good player.
Moving to the Premier League under Rafa Benitez, and now on track to be playing in the Championship next season. If they go down, do you think he moves?
I think he moves, but I think...
Has he proven that he is...
I mean, he hasn't played well at Newcastle, to be fair, and I think that's partially...
He hasn't played well, but I think he's their best player.
I would say he's their best player, but he has not played well.
Is it he's not good? Or... Because, I mean, I will say, every time I watch Newcastle, I feel like Miguel Almiron is doing well, and he's putting balls, and no one is finishing them. He's setting up so well, and it makes him look bad because no one is getting on the end of the balls that he's playing.
Yeah. I mean, I think Miguel Almiron does get transferred. I would not be surprised if he gets transferred
Also, he's playing on the wing.
I would not be surprised.
For some reason.
I would not be surprised if Miguel Almiron gets transferred to a team that does stay up, but is around, I would say, the same quality as Newcastle. Like, I would not be surprised if he went to somewhere like Wolves or like Sheffield or like Norwich even.
I think Wolves could use a Miguel Almiron.
I think Wolves could, because I think that's what they're lacking, honestly. But I think the one thing that could save Newcastle this season and keep them away from relegation would be 100% Josef Martinez.
I don't think that's happening.
I know it's probably not, but I really want it to happen just because it would be really funny to see.
I also don't think because they have Joelinton that...
I mean, you could play a 4-4-2.
Nobody plays a 4-4-2 anymore. It's just not... It's
4-2-4.
It leaves too much... Playing two strikers is very hard to do because it leaves so much room in the midfield.
Yeah. I mean... I think the only successful way to play it is if you play like a 4-4-2 holding or like a 4-1-2-1-2.
Or, I mean, you really need a shadow striker is what you need.
Yeah, 4-1-2-1-2.
But, yeah. But even then, even the role of the attacking midfielder has been fallen out of favor, I think.
I highly disagree with that.
Really? I mean, who's playing attacking midfielders anymore? Not even City.
Sigurdsson.
Sigurdsson is kind of the holdout. But
Mason Mount.
Mason Mount's kind of been playing
Mason
that
Mount
role?
is an attacking midfielder. He might be playing.
But he's playing in a midfield 3.
Okay, that is true. But if you watch Mason Mount during a game,
He's definitely an attacking.
He literally
midfielder.
he does not come back. He only stays up. He's not strong enough, and he's not big enough. He's a fantastic player, but he's only attacking. That's his only good trait, really. He's not a defender.
I think teams are definitely drifting towards the defensive midfielder versus an attacking midfielder, just because it's so much stronger to have. And I think that's why you've seen a lot of players who fill that role fall out of favor. The most notable, I think, being Paulo Dybala at Juve, not getting game time because they're not going to play that attacking midfielder like that. And I don't know. And I think Sarri doesn't play with attacking midfielders, and it's just a lot of teams just don't. And it's just not what happens. So
They played with an attacking midfielder.
in this
It was Bernadeschi.
in their last game against Bayer Leverkusen.
I think Sarri just doesn't like Dybala.
Yeah, they've been playing a 4-4-2 diamond actually.
Yeah.
They've been changing up their tactics.
No one plays two strikers anymore, Nicky. Look at that.
Two strikers against Spal, who are
yeah, but look at who.
place.
But look who played two strikers against them. Atletico.
Well, Atletico is a different story, I think, because Atletico does have a lot of good strikers.
Yeah, they have João Felix and Diego Costa.
And Morata.
Yeah, well, Morata's not a good striker.
Although is he not fit at the moment?
No, he's fit. He's just bad.
All right. Anyway, back to the Premier League. Do you think Brendan Rodgers stays at Leicester City?
I mean, he's not going to get fired.
Would he take the United job?
I mean,
Would he leave Leicester City in a state of shock by just walking out the door and going United? I think the answer is yes. He did it to Celtic. I think if United came knocking, he would leave in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I feel like he's a money type of guy. He doesn't really care about anything else but money. But he does his job well.
But yeah, I don't know. Which I think brings us to Manchester United 1, Arsenal 1. Was this a good result for either side? It was kind of a weird game.
It was honestly, it was the worst defense in the league versus the worst attack in the league.
Because both teams played poorly.
It was a terrible defense versus a terrible offense.
And I don't know. I think, yeah, and I mean, it really shows how bad United's offense is. And
When your only goal is coming from your center defensive midfielder,
an absolute wonder strike, by the way. That was a fantastic goal.
Yes, it was. But when your only goal is coming from that, and your strikers can't even
by Rashford and Martial just whiffing it and whiffing it and whiffing it.
It's pathetic. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, not Pereira, not Martial. I forgot Martial's injured still. Sorry, Pereira and Rashford. But yeah, Pereira and Rashford both, I think, putting on a really, really poor display. I've said it once, I'll say it again. Rashford is not a world-class striker. Prove me wrong.
No.
He's not. And I think that, and this was even more striking because I had some games recorded and I watched this game and then I watched the Lazio game over the weekend, and seeing the difference between Marcus Rashford and Ciro Immobile was so striking to see an actual number 9 versus Rashford, who is not that type of player. And I get that they're different types of players. They're very different types of players. But Ciro Immobile has such a presence about him, and he scores goals so well. And he's just such a force up top, and Rashford isn't. When he gets the ball, you don't think he's going to score. If Ciro Immobile has the ball, you have the feeling that he's going to score. And I don't know. I feel that way about Daniel James, where when he gets the ball, there's a good chance that he's going to score. But Rashford, I don't know. I think that United really need a world-class striker in January. Otherwise, they're going to be certainly not in the Champions League, not by any stretch of the imagination. They need to bring in a world-class striker, and they need one fast. Who do you think would be a good pick for them? I think Mandzukic is one of the rumors.
I don't think that would be a good fit.
You don't think?
Personally.
Big target man up top?
No. And I don't think that would be a smart move by them. Mandzukic good.
It's a Band-Aid fix.
Mandzukic is good, but Mandzukic is old.
Well, yeah, it's a Band-Aid fix.
I think they would personally go for someone more long term.
Like who?
They could go for Ciro Immobile, honestly. But
No way he leaves Lazio.
yeah, but I'm
Especially
saying
not to go into that mess.
Theoretically.
Theoretically, Ciro Immobile would be a fantastic. I think
Yeah.
Ciro Immobile is fantastic for any side that he's in. But
Like, and if
He's
you're
not
going
going United.
Band-Aid fix, I feel like a better choice for a Band-Aid fix would be Mertens over Mandzukic.
yeah, but Mertens is not going to leave Napoli to go to a on fire United.
Yeah.
Like Mandzukic is out of favor at Juve, which was why that move makes sense.
Or I could see United getting Paco Alcacer.
Potentially. I think they're also linked with Jadon Sancho, but he's not really a striker.
Well, Jadon Sancho's not going there.
I think that would be the same.
But I think Paco Alcacer would be a better choice for them. Because he's younger. And he's proven himself at Dortmund.
I'm trying to think of what other strikers they could potentially. I mean, maybe Timo Werner.
I don't think
Timo
Werner would want to go there.
I don't think he'd be a good fit for United.
Yeah.
I mean, Icardi maybe would have been a good pick.
Yeah, Icardi would have been a good fit.
Pickup for them.
Yeah, he would have been a good fit.
Yeah.
Maybe Piatek?
Yeah, Piatek could work.
Piatek would fit their system.
Has been doing not very well at Milan right now.
But Piatek, he would fit their system.
But and we're hoping to have a Serie A special sometime soon with our AC Milan correspondent in Sweden. So, but we are working on the logistics of that. So, but yes, according to Hans, Piatek is good. He's just not getting the service that he needs to score, which I think is a fair point.
They got destroyed by Fiorentina.
Yeah. Oh, yes, that was a good game. That was a very good game. Fiorentina needed that win.
Fiorentina's been playing good this season, a lot better than last season.
Well, they played great in the first half of the season.
Yeah. Is it going to be the same thing, though?
I don't think so. They have new owners now.
One thing that I thought was weird about United's starting lineup was that they played Axel Tuanzebe.
They have a lot of injuries, though.
And plus, also, they played Axel Tuanzebe in left back. And he is not a left back. He is a center back.
Yeah, but who would you start there instead, besides maybe Rojo?
Luke Shaw.
I think Luke Shaw was injured, right?
I mean,
I think that's why he didn't play. Yeah, he wasn't on the bench.
I mean, they don't really have another left back, dude.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
I mean, I don't know. I think with United, it's the same problem that's been growing and growing and growing at United. They don't have world-class players. They don't. They don't have... Who out of this lineup is a world-class player? Maybe Maguire? Maybe Pogba?
De
Gea, sure.
Gea is the only one. Pogba, I would say is, but I think not at United.
But, I mean, he plays far better for France than he's ever played for United.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's a world-class player, but not at United.
And Harry Maguire is potentially a world-class player.
No.
But, I mean, in this game, though, I mean, he was caught out again.
Did Wan-Bissaka get injured, or does he have like a red or something?
I'm not sure where he was.
I think he might have got a red last game.
So, Anyway, so and I mean, yeah, Arsenal's goal, Aubameyang picking apart. He was ill with illness.
That's tough.
Aubameyang's goal though, picking apart, just completely splitting Maguire and Lindelof. It was a good goal. I think Arsenal would have expected. Arsenal really should have won this game, and I think that blame solely falls on Nicolas Pepe, who he whiffed so many chances.
I mean, I can see that. I can see what you're thinking, but I think part of the blame also falls on Unai Emery.
I think so. Well,
I think the starting lineup was not a starting lineup I would play against Manchester United.
And so what would you play?
I mean, I would play. Arsenal should 100% be playing a 4-4-2.
Well, Lacazette's injured.
Oh, okay. I guess that changes things a little. But I mean, if Ozil's going to stay there, why not play him?
Also injured.
Why? Why?
Tierney, Pepe, Lacazette, and Ozil. Pepe was back for this game, but
Tierney was back for this game too. They just didn't play him because they played him during the week.
Yeah, they played him during the week. But was he on the bench for this game? No, he wasn't. I think he's still making his way.
I think
back.
Reece Nelson would have been a better choice for left wing. Personally,
yeah.
I think Maitland-Niles would have been a better choice than Callum Chambers.
Maybe start Ceballos.
Yeah, Ceballos should 100% have started over. I would say probably over Torreira.
But Torreira's more of a. Did Torreira even start? Oh. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It was a weird lineup. Very strange that this is. But I guess with the injuries that they had, maybe this wasn't such a bad result. Lacazette's not back till late October, so
damn.
He's gonna be gone for at least a couple games. And I think
that wraps it up.
Yeah, I think that about wraps it up. I think we touched on all the anything else you want to talk about while we're here?
Not really.
More Champions League games.
I need to go to bed.
Yeah, it's getting late. Let's see. Any other good Champions League games?
Salzburg in their game last week. That was a good game. Erling Haaland scoring first half hat trick for Salzburg.
Oh, Real Madrid drew to Club Brugge.
Okay, or just ignore what I'm saying.
Sorry, which one?
Salzburg, not versus Liverpool, but before that
against
versus
Genk,
Genk, where Erling Haaland scored.
Yes, he's very good. Now there's a striker that United could be targeting.
Bro, he's got a funny face. Not gonna lie.
That would be a brilliant buy for United, but no way he.
Man, look at
United.
that formation.
Yeah,
they made a little man.
And Real Madrid drew to Club Brugge.
Chelsea got their first Champions League win today.
Chelsea got their first Champions League win of the season.
Because Ross Barkley wasn't nowhere near the pitch, thankfully.
Yeah. And Ajax beat Valencia. And
Go down.
And Barca beat Inter barely. So
I'm surprised that Leipzig isn't doing better.
Yeah, they're always, I don't know. They don't focus very much on the Champions League because look at their lineup. Oh, actually, they did play a full lineup this time, but I think they were playing Lyon. But I think last week they didn't even start Timo Werner. I don't think against Benfica.
Well, he scored 2 goals, so
he did start.
He scored 2 goals.
Never mind.
Alrighty. Well, have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, that kind of...
Or good morning, or good afternoon, whenever you're listening to this.
Thank you guys for listening. We're back. And hopefully we'll stay back for a while. We have hopefully some fun shows coming up. Maybe dive into some other leagues. And
maybe more than 2 people on a podcast.
Yeah. maybe the rest of the people
Finally show up.
will be on the show. And thank you for listening, and have a good night or morning or